It's Tuesday, October 26, 2021. Well, here we are, another day, another melt up. Markets continue to soar, markets hitting all-time highs. Wow, we continue to watch the US economy collapse right before our very eyes. This is the twilight zone we are living in, where we are watching these markets soar while the economy collapses. And there are very few people at the very top making a lot of money on this criminality, this manipulation. And there will be people that write me today telling me, JB, I'm making money. You should be in these markets. You're making crumbs compared to what the people at the very top are making. But I want to let everybody know that because of this criminality, because of this manipulation, we are going to pay a very, very severe price as a nation because of this. We're going to pay a very, very severe price because the 1% at the very top making all this money. And yes, a few people down below making some crumbs, but we're going to pay a very, very severe price. Now, while the 1% go to their islands, go to the ranches, jump on their private jets, float on their $500 million yachts, the 99% will pay the ultimate price here. And we're beginning to see the price we're paying because we can't even unload ships. We don't even know how to ship toilet paper now. We have millions of people refusing to go back to work, millions of people losing their jobs, millions of people being evicted, 1 million people in forbearance, debt and deficits exploding. But it's okay because the Dow Jones is at an all-time high. Think about the price we are going to pay for this illusion. I want to talk about an article today coming from The Hedge titled, "A $10,000 bank snooping threshold would intrude on millions." Now, originally, this proposal would require your bank, your financial institution to report you to the IRS if you had $600 in your account, if you had an inflow or outflow of $600. Well, now they're changing it from $600 to $10,000. Exempting payroll deposits. This sounds like wonderful news. It's not at all. Millions of people, unfortunately, will be affected by this $10,000 number. It still affects millions of Americans of modest means. $10,000 a year comes out to just over $830 a month in spending. And while payroll deposits are exempt, many Americans don't make their income through to traditional biweekly deposits. Think about that, $830 a month in spending. You got to make a rent payment, you make a mortgage payment, you make a car payment, you make an insurance payment. $830 is nothing. All of you will be reported. This to me is very, very dangerous. Small business owners and the self-employed, for example, often do not receive a payroll check. With the rise of the gig economy, freelance work has exploded. 44 million Americans were self-employed at some point during any given week in 2019. Meanwhile, there are over 30 million small businesses in the US. Workers in traditional employment situations can have money to deposit that doesn't come from a payroll check, as well as tipped cash wages, gifts from family, proceeds from the sale of assets like a car. You sell a used car today, what's $10,000 for a used car? It's nothing, right? You'll be reported. All this would count against the $10,000 threshold. So let's just say you're earning an extra $800 or $900 a month in tips. A family member writes you a check. You just got married, and your mom or dad writes you a check for $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 as a wedding gift to help you out. It's going to be reported. So they want to see everything. American households spend on average over $12,000 a year just on housing, rent, mortgage payment. All of these people who make a rent payment out for over $830 a month, reported. You make a mortgage payment out for over $830 a month, you're reported. You just hit the threshold. Taxpayers who save for a down payment on a house or the purchase of a car could easily exceed $10,000. 20% down on a $400,000 house, right? That's $80,000. So you'll be reported. So why the bank monitoring? Please comment down below. Let me know why. I think it's because they want to be able to look at anyone that they want to, anytime they want to. They need no warrant. They need no reason. They just have the ability now, because of this law, that they can go in and look at anybody they want. And so this is really, in my opinion, very, very dangerous. It's not about targeting the wealthy like we're being told. This is to target the wealthy. Well, this to me is not targeting the wealthy. It's targeting the majority of this country. What's really concerning here is they will have the freedom, an organization like the IRS will have the freedom to spy on you, yet you have no freedom to privacy. You have no freedom to your money. They'll know everything. And this is why, they want us all to use digital currency. You won't even be able to tip your babysitter without them knowing exactly what you're doing. They want digital money. They want to see where all the money is going. Again, you won't even be able to tip your waiter, your waitress, or your babysitter without them knowing exactly where the money came from, where it went. And your babysitter, the waiter, waitress, everybody is going to have to report the money. The system is so corrupt. Remember, look, the wealthy can hide money. They have the lawyers, the CPAs, the ability to hide money. The average American, the middle class, the upper middle class, the poor, they don't have the tools that the ultra wealthy have. And again, this to me is about more and more control. Transitory shortages and inflation are actually your quality of life being stolen right before your very eyes. This is also on the hedge. I'll paraphrase through this article. We are suffering from runaway inflation. I think we can all admit that. We have a monstrous labor shortage and an abundance of products that are no longer abundant. Look at the empty shelves. Look at the ports. Cargo just sitting there. It's going to be very, very difficult to get holiday gifts this year. Many toys already sold out. This country right now does not produce anything anymore. We have doubled our central bank balance sheet in under 2 years, and the money supply has gone parabolic. So we have more money chasing after less goods and products. And this is why we continue to see more and more inflation. Your quality of life is being washed away by things like shrinkflation, higher prices, and lower expectations. Yeah, that's what they want. They want you to lower your expectations. Why should you have high expectations? We're paying more in taxes than ever before, yet they're telling you to have lower expectations. I don't know about you, but when I pay for something, I expect something. If I'm paying more in taxes, I have higher expectations of my country, the infrastructure, my quality of life. But here's where we're at. 39% of Americans pay for the other 61%. The top 1% are not going to lower their expectations. Your politicians aren't going to lower their expectations. You should lower your expectations. That's who they want to lower their expectations. We should stand firm with our expectations, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't, we will lose more quality of our lives. It will continue to be stolen. They want us to lower expectations. Yeah, you can't buy the washer or dryer today. It's going to take 6 months. No, you can't buy a car today. There's none available. No, you're not going to be able to buy as much food today. Just lower your expectations, because that's how it is everywhere else. So this is how it's going to be in your new life, in your new world. It's going to be your standard of living. Your expectations are going to continue to be stolen. Millions have realized that their quality of life has fallen over just the past couple years. Yet the 1%, their quality of life has skyrocketed. It has soared along with the stock market, right? But we should lower our expectations. We should lower our quality of life. But that top 1%, no, their quality of life continues to go up. You look at Jeff Bezos, his new $500 million yacht being built, and people will just be mystified by it, by looking at it. They love watching these people fly to space. They love looking at their homes, their jets. They love looking at these massive yachts. They're just in awe of it. Wow, their quality of life goes down. Their standard of living goes down. Their net worth goes down. But we are being so fooled right now. So the 1%, their life continues to skyrocket while the average American, especially the middle class, is being decimated. Their lifestyle is being robbed. The average American is being robbed right now. You spend more for a loaf of bread today than in any time in history. And the store now is running out of bags. It doesn't even have a bag to give you. Here's your loaf of bread. Sorry, we don't have a bag, even though you're paying $4 or $5 now for a loaf of bread. One day we may look back and go, remember when we could at least get a loaf of bread? Now you don't get a bag and you can't even get a loaf of bread. So this is how fast things are transitioning here in America. And this is why it's so imperative that you're preparing, I'm preparing, and that means food, that means water, that means security, that means hard assets, that means putting some cash away, that means having a mindset, that means having a skill set. We really need to be critically thinking for ourselves on how to be self-sufficient, getting out of the system. Are the banks safe? Are the financial institutions safe? Will your pension be there for you? Is that money market going to be there for you? We got a lot of paper millionaires out there that think everything is rosy. But unfortunately, I believe they're going to wake up one day and they're going to be wiped out. And we're going to not have so many paper millionaires. And what are people going to do at that point when the digits on a screen disappear? September, new home sales explode higher. Sales for September up 14% from August, still down 17.6% year over year. Median new home prices rose 18.7% year over year to a record high of $408,000. You know, we hear about the many disruptions in housing, whether it's supplies, lumber, whatever it may be. I think that the one disruption that is going to really affect housing at some point is going to be the disruption of income, the disruption of jobs, the disruption of quality of life. When you don't have people working, when you don't have people making a real wage here in America, people are not going to be able to buy houses, okay? We have a lot of institutional money coming into these markets, buying up these houses. But if you don't have people who can afford to rent these homes, if you don't have people who can afford to buy homes, you're going to have the ultimate disruption in housing. And this is why I believe we're going to see the ultimate housing bubble burst, because this is unsustainable. The institutional money cannot buy every home, and if it does, they still have to be able to rent these homes. And with rents increasing like they are, this is unsustainable. The average American is not going to have the income, the job, or the capacity to keep this housing market afloat, either through purchases or through rent. And we're going to see, I think, many institutions get into very, very big trouble here. Now, maybe the government will bail them out. The government's not going to bail you out. So be very, very cautious if you're looking into purchasing in this housing bubble. An article I was reading today, really, this makes no sense when you think about it. 1 million in mortgage forbearance, highest number since financial crisis. This number is historically high. Current rate of delinquency at all stages is 3.5%. We are looking at something very similar to 2008 during that crisis. Nobody's talking about it. None of this adds up. And nobody's talking about the millions of people in the process of eviction because they couldn't make their rent payments, right? So we have over 1 million people in mortgage forbearance. Current rate of delinquencies at all stages at 3.5%, historically high number, and millions of people in the process of eviction right now in America. Nobody's talking about it. Market's melting up. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Again, as these markets continue to be manipulated and a few people at the very, very top making a majority of the money, we're going to pay a very, very, very horrific price here. And we're also going to pay a horrific price for this manipulated housing bubble that's been created. We're going to pay a huge price for this monetary policy where we injected trillions of dollars into the economy, the $600 and $300 benefits, the stimulus checks, allowing people not to pay rent. This is all going to come home to roost, ladies and gentlemen. It's all going to come home to roost. And, you know, I'm going to use this analogy. I don't know if you've ever seen the show, Dr. Pimple Popper. And on this show, people come in with these enormous growths, and this doctor, you know, will lance the growth squeeze out the infection, and it's pretty disgusting. But I bring it up because of this. You know, I watch these people, and they basically have a growth the size, just a little pimple, and they let it fester for years and years and years until it's the size of a volleyball. I'm not kidding you. Some of these people come in with these enormous growths, and they're in a lot of pain now because of the pressure that's built up over decades of their life. And finally, they can't take the pain anymore, so they go to this doctor. She lances it, squeezes out all the infection, and it's over. But this is kind of where we're at as a nation. We allowed this grape-size cyst to grow and grow over decades. And we've ignored it and ignored it and ignored it. But now it's gotten so big, so out of control, and it's so painful that we're going to come to a point where we can no longer ignore this cyst. We can no longer ignore the growth because of the pressure and the pain. And it's going to have to be lanced. And the infection is going to have to be cut out here, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody is going to feel the pain. But in order to get out of the pain, this whole thing has to pop, okay? It's going to have to pop. It's going to have to be squeezed. And it's an ugly, ugly process. But again, we've ignored things for decades. And now we have this massive growth with all this pressure, all this infection. And we're at a critical point now where if we don't do something about it, it is going to overtake our entire body. And this whole mess is taking over the entire economy, the entire country. It's taking over the globe. And unless it is addressed, it's going to be a big problem. It's a big problem right now. And we are at a critical time where we either do something about it or this thing becomes a massive cancer and we die. College enrollment notched the largest 2-year decline in 50 years. And it's still declining. Maybe people are waking up. Maybe people are figuring out that maybe it's better to have a skill set. Maybe it's better to know how to do something. Maybe it's better not to spend $50, $80, or $100,000 on a degree that you're going to use on the bottom of your birdcage because it's completely worthless. You know, I think if you're in this realm, if you're young, you're thinking about going to college, you really have to think about, is it worth it? That degree that you're getting, are you going to be able to get a job? Will you be able to have a career that's going to pay you, allow you to pay this debt back? Too many people went and got a degree and found out that there's no jobs for that degree, that there's going to be no opportunity, no career with that degree. So if you're going to go to college and get a degree, make sure it's in a field that you're going to get hired, that you're going to be able to have a career. Many of these degrees now, completely worthless. There's no jobs for these degrees. And people are finding out that it would have been better to go to a trade school and learn how to be a plumber. You'd make more money than you would with a degree. So think about that, because wouldn't it be better to start life not $80,000 or $100,000 in the hole and actually knowing how to do something and being able to go to work tomorrow and make money? Federal government collected record taxes in fiscal 2021. They collected $4 trillion in taxes, spent $6.8 trillion. $2 trillion came from individual tax, you and I. Remember, we got to pay for the other 69%. We don't have a revenue problem in America, ladies and gentlemen. We have a spending problem. When are we going to realize this? Where is all the money going? Look around. I don't see it being spent wisely. I see the infrastructure crumbling. I see streets crumbling. I see homeless everywhere. I see the average American in big trouble. I see the country as a whole decaying. I see more and more debt, $30 trillion in debt. We've got unfunded liabilities of about $170 trillion. And we continue to want to tax more and more, but I think we're getting less and less for our money. Why are the pensions unfunded with this kind of taxation? Why are we running such a large debt and deficit here in America when we have $4 trillion in taxes coming in? Because we cannot stop spending. And until we stop spending, the problem is going to continue to get worse and worse. This year's Thanksgiving feast will wallop the wallet. It will be the most expensive Thanksgiving in your history, in your lifetime. They're saying that it will be 5% more than the one last year. You know it's going to be much, much more than that. Gas stations across Iran crippled after massive cyber attack. My question is, who's next? Who committed the cyber attack? Could have been us, could have been Israel, who knows? But what happens when it happens to us? You know, I think that we are only kidding ourselves to think that we are not going to see major cyber warfare take place in the very near future. It's already begun. You look at what's happening now with China, their massive military. What kind of war are we going to see in the future? It's probably going to be a cyber war. It's going to be an economic war, and we're losing all of it right now. You know, you look at those 100 ships coming from Asia out here at the West Coast. It is an economic war that America is losing, and it's losing by a landslide. We have really not begun to really see the cyber attacks here in America, but just think if the lights went down. Think if you couldn't go to the gas station. Think if you couldn't go to the store and use your plastic card because the power's down, the internet's down. Now you better have cash. Now you better have some gold, you better have some silver, and you better definitely have food and water, and most of all, you better have security, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, if the power goes down, everything goes down. You are on your own. You think you're going to pick up the phone and call for help? It's probably not even going to work. The police, they're staying home with their own families. You're on your own. The grocery stores, they're wiped out within hours. Forget about it. You better have your own food, your own water. And we're going to come to a point, quite possibly, where what you have, what you can get to, what you're holding in your hands is what you have. So it doesn't matter how much plastic you have, how many digits on a screen you have, how much crypto you have. The question is, can you protect yourself? Can you eat? Do you have water? And can you stay safe? That's the question. And yeah, I used to say have minimal 30 days food and water put away. There's no doubt now that I think that number is at least minimally 90 days. And many people would probably argue that you're going to need much more than that. But, you know, I say, look, no doubt, minimally have 90 days of food and water put away. And maybe that means you're going to have to cut out some lattes. Maybe that means you're going to have to cut out going to dinner. Maybe that means you're not going to the bar this weekend. Get to the store. Buy some canned food. If you have the means, buy some emergency food. Go buy a couple cases of water tonight. Right now, there is still food. There is still water. It's available. But you don't know if the lights go out, how long it's going to be available. You don't even want to go out. If the power goes out, you do not even want to be leaving your house at this time. It will be so dangerous. So don't risk it. Go out tonight. Go out this week. Go buy an extra 10, 20 cans of food. Order some emergency food if you can even get it. I know a lot of these places are back ordered. Right now, you've got to be proactive. You've got to be doing something. If you're doing nothing, then you're going to have big problems, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Please, please share this video. Give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe.